What does macro stand for? Large. Okay. Science, at least this stuff is going to be really easy if you understand prefixes. And first off, you understand that macro means large. So we're going to look at those biomolecules, these macromolecules. You guys remember the video last week, Friday, with the guy who talked really quickly?
Yeah.
We're going to go a little bit slower. Little slower. With a lot more images that don't involve, him eating a sandwich. First off, what's organic?
Something that has carbon in it.
Good job, appreciate that.
Oh, I didn't even notice that was there.
It is there. Organic compounds or organic molecules are ones that are molecules of life. But it's not just carbon. There's actually a few things. So when we talk about organic molecules, it's this Chinese guy right here. Cho.
Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen.
Exactly. Carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, okay? So if ever you see carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen together, 9 times out of 10, it's an organic compound. One of those biomolecules that he talked about last week, okay? If it's just carbon, it helps that you might understand it's organic, but at least if you have CHO, now you know it's an organic compound. Now, would I even write this down? Macromolecules mean large molecules? No, I already know what the prefix macro means. Duh. I'm all about not writing down stuff I already know. I'm also all about writing stuff down in a way that I would understand it. All this gobbledygook is how a textbook would say it. I'm not a textbook. I'm a living, breathing person. And I don't speak textbook very often. So put it in your own words. That way you understand it better. Okay? Also, it takes less time. Now, one of the cool things about carbon is that it has 4 electrons in the outer shell. That means absolutely nothing to me. It can form covalent bonds. I don't remember what a covalent bond is. But here's the important part. It can attach to 4 other atoms. That I understand. It looks like this. Here's my carbon. And it can attach to 4 other atoms. Could it attach to 3 atoms?
Yes.
Yeah, it really could. How about 2?
Yes.
Yeah. It'd be really difficult to just attach itself to 1. Really difficult. But the most it can do is 4. Each one of these little lines means that it can bond with something. And when we're talking, usually it's bonding to another carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, or nitrogen, or CHON. C-H-O-N. Okay? Now the example they give is methane gas. CH4. Well, here's my C. How many H's do I need? 4. So here's what it looks like. That's methane. Where do you find a lot of methane? Farts. Not joking. Yeah, it's fart gas, poo gas. And one of the only ways to create, well, one of the very few ways to create methane is through an organic organism, a living creature. So when we look at other plants trying to figure out if there's life out there, 1, we look for water. 2, we look for methane, or as my last period said, we look for fart gas. We look to see if creatures have been farting on the planet. Yeah, technically, we do. It's also highly flammable.
That's why people like the fart.
Please don't light your farts. 9 times out of 10, it will backdraft. The flames will go in and not out.
Have you tried?
No, ma'am, I'm smarter than that. Because the thought of a 2nd or 3rd degree burn in my colon is not something I want to have to worry about. You guys think it's funny? No, it's major surgery. And the whole thought of sitting down, next to impossible. Do not ever light your butt on fire. All right, so large organic molecules, we call them polymers. The small building blocks, we call them monomers. Here's the way I remember it, because this, again, is kind of stupid. The small building blocks, a Lego, an individual Lego brick is a monomer. When I put a whole bunch of them together, now I have a polymer. So one individual unit is a monomer. A whole bunch of those individuals together, I make a polymer. Does that make a little bit more sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is a bunch of crap. And that's why the video works so much better. Because I show you the crap, but I explain it in easy terms, hopefully. Believe me, I like easy terms. Now, oh dang it. Hold on, let's see if this will work first. No, no. Make it happen, Captain, come on. It doesn't want to show me the last one down here. And I don't know what, oh, there it is, sweet, yes. Okay. The 4 biomolecules, organic molecules, whatever you want to call them, are these 4 ones right here that we talked about on the video. Carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, nucleic acids. Do you guys remember what a carbohydrate is?
Basically where you get all
Glucose.
your energy.
Glucose is an example, and it's where we get our energy. It's sugars, right? Very quick energy. What's a lipid? Fats. Okay. I'm very familiar with lipids. Protein. Where would I find proteins? Yeah, meats. All right, your muscles. How many athletes drink protein shakes? Have you drank one before?
Yeah.
I used to drink them all the time. Then I stopped working out. And now I don't need them. It helps build things up, like muscles and bones and skin. And then they cheated. They gave you the answer for nucleic acid. RNA and DNA. Literally, it stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. Ribonucleic acid. We'll talk about that last. It's the boring stuff. So, here's my question. If I wanted to build a macromolecule, what would I do? So I want to take monomers and put them together to make a polymer. I know I'm not asking you the question for an answer right now because I'm about to tell you what it is. Something you've never heard of before. It's called dehydration synthesis. First up, what's dehydration? Taking out water. Yeah, lose water. Okay. What does it mean for synthesis? Remember back in photosynthesis? What does synthesis mean? We're making something.
Reaction.
A reaction. So we're going to create something by removing water. Also known as condensation reaction, but we usually don't say that. So by yanking out water, we can build a monomer into a polymer. So here's one monomer right here. Actually, each green block is a monomer. Okay? Now you'll notice on one side we have an OH group, on the other side we have an H group. On this monomer, we have an OH group and we have an H group. And when we take them apart, remember this little line right here means a bond. When we take the H and the OH out, and no, it does not say ho. When we take the H and the OH out, we make water. Now the bad thing is that leaves these spots empty. The little carbon that's sitting right here wants to hold hands. The carbon that's right here wants to hold hands. So they find each other. And look, now they're holding hands together. They're a happy little couple.
Oh.
Isn't it cute? It's a love story. Look at that. By yanking out water, it's Twilight. Which is the stupidest love story ever.
Yes.
I'm a whiny little girl. Yeah. Anyway. Don't get me started on that. But does it make sense? Look at this. H2O. I make water. It leaves an open bond. It leaves an open bond. They get close to each other. Look. They attach. They're holding hands. So I went from this tiny little polymer and this monomer. Now I make a really long polymer. How did these guys get joined together? Same thing. There was an H right here. There was an OH right here. We removed it. They joined together. By yanking out water, we can join these small units. So here's the next question. How do I separate them? It's nice and all to build them up, but sometimes I have to break them down to get the energy out of them. So what would I do?
fatty acid and enzymes in your stomach?
Nah, there's an easier way to do it. That's the more complex way, which we'll get to later. But I want to break up the molecule. I want to take that polymer and break it up into monomers. What would I do? It's a good idea, and it does work, but this is the way it works. Come on, people.
Reaction?
Come on. What did I do to build them?
Oh, we put in water.
Yeah. So if I remove water to build them, if I add water, I said add water. Like,
But
It's your computer
Stupid
hates
button.
you right now.
if I add water, I can break them up. We add water to this lovely little bond. And the water splits into the H and the OH group. Well, I just broke it. By adding water. Now, what you're talking about with enzyme action, enzymes help to speed this up, which we'll talk about later. Because there are some processes in you that are just god-awful slow. Like would take weeks, if not a couple of years, to actually happen. But when we add enzymes, it takes seconds. In fact, actually, that's one of the things we're going to do on Friday's lab. We're going to do inappropriate things to liver.
Oh. Oh, but liver smells bad.
It doesn't smell terribly bad. Bless you.
Like,
You guys are only here for one period. Miss Boswell and I have to be in here for like 4 or 5.
My question is what if someone comes out the class smelling like liver? It's first
Sucks to
in
be
school.
you. I don't care. I'm in the classroom all day smelling like liver. I happen to like liver. It's tasty. Fried liver and onions. Lots of ketchup. It's the way to work. It's awesome. My wife will not let me make fried liver in the house. It'll stink up the whole house. So the only time I ever get to have fried liver, I have to go to Luby's. Bless you. Are you allergic to my jokes? They're not getting any better. I hate to break it to you. The reason why I have to tell jokes here, my wife thinks I'm not that funny. I'm hilarious, by the way. Just so you know. Alright, carbohydrates. Fun times, fun times. First off, remember, okay, I don't even know why they put this in. Carbohydrates could be small sugar molecules up to large sugar molecules. Well, duh. That just means that it can be monomers or it can be polymers. Duh, stupid. Here's some examples. These are just generic names. What does mono stand for? One. So that, remember that monomer was just that one building block? What's a disaccharide?
2.
2. And polysaccharide?
Many.
Many. Okay, yay. Yes, ma'am.
Would you say the top could be?
This just says that there's monomers up to polymers. So small into large chains. And these are the examples we talk about, the monosaccharide, disaccharide, and polysaccharide. In fact, you can get saccharin put into your soft drinks instead of real sugar. That's just a type of sugar. It's easier to digest, apparently. I don't know. Bunch of silly stuff. I just drink real Coke and lots of Mountain Dew. Yeah, I haven't had Mountain Dew since Sunday.
Do
you drink coffee?
I drink lots of coffee. This is actually my small coffee cup.
Oh, text to tech.
Guns up. This is my small coffee mug. Usually the one I drink is like 2 times this.
That's like a whole pot of coffee.
No, it's not. It's about 1/3 of the pot of coffee. And then my coffee mug at home that I drink before I come to school is another 1/3 of the pot of the coffee. So that way when I get home, I can have the other 1/3 over ice.
That's not good for you.
How is that not good for me? I'm still alive.
Well, that's good.
Actually, coffee extends lifespan.
Yeah, it's saying.
Oh, what? Really?
It also destroys your kidneys too if you're not careful.
See, it's bad.
Not good.
That's why I drink clear liquids, like Mountain Dew, to help clean out my kidneys. Anyway, monosaccharides. This is the monomer. The monosaccharide is the monomer. Now, these are examples. You don't have to write all the examples down, but there is something that they all have in common if you look at them.
Ose.
Exactly. There was a Nickelodeon commercial a long time ago. It said if it ends in ose and rhymes with gross, it's a sugar. So all these sugars end in ose. And there's a whole bunch more of them. So glucose, ribose, fructose, galactose, how anybody know anybody that's lactose intolerant? They can't process milk sugar. There's maltose. There's, oh my gosh, there's lots of oses out there. What's your question?
Can you say the gross sugar?
If it ends in ose and rhymes with gross, ends in ose and rhymes with gross, it's a sugar. Believe me, I like simple things like that to help me remember things. I've got so much awesome information in my head that if I can find easy ways to remember it, I try to. Okay? Now, if you'll look at this is my glucose molecule. All right, glucose is C6H12O6, CHO. All sugars have only carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. They only have CHO. Now, this is the basic model. Do you see any carbons, hydrogens, and oxygens on it?
No.
We didn't want to draw them all. So we basically give it this very simple shape. We call it a ring shape. Because some of them are like this hexagon, some of them are pentagons. All right? But it basically looks like a ring because it's hollow. Put your finger on it if you like it. That's right. Anyway. Now, there are other macromolecules that have only CHO, like lipids. So in order to figure out if it's a lipid or a carbohydrate, there's a very specific ratio. For every carbon, I have 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. It's a 1 to 2 to 1 ratio. And look, it works with glucose. 6 times 2 is 12. And 6. What are y'all giggling about?
Someone's light bulb turned off.
I love that when it happens. They finally get a spark big enough to have a thought. It's great. That means connections are happening. I would have hoped it would have happened earlier, this being week 5 and all, but you know.
Dang, wow, time goes by fast.
No, it does not.
Yes,
Yesterday
people.
felt all 15 minutes.
This is week 5. Guess what next week is?
October.
The end of the 6 weeks.
Oh.
Whoa.
And yes, October starts to begin.
Yay.
Which means parent-teacher conference is coming out soon. So hopefully you get a few more sparks going
It
on.
means we get out, right?
Earlier. All right, now, please, there is no need to write these.
Okay.
Okay, there's no need to write sucrose, lactose, maltose. What you do want to understand that these are disaccharides. So they are 2 monomers of sugar. 2 monomers of sugar. And look, glucose bonded to glucose. So this right here is maltose. Anybody know where you would find maltose sugar?
Malt.
Beer.
Oh.
That's why people.
This is the sugar that yeast eats in order to make carbon dioxide in beer. Do not drink beer underage. This is a public service announcement by Mr. Nielsen. Would this be considered a monomer or a polymer? No, it's a polymer. Because it's 2 monomers put together. Now, how do we put these 2 monomers together? We take away the water. Yeah. Last period, they're like, chemical reaction. Yes, how? The two carbons. Okay, good. How? I like pizza. Gee, thanks for that. Hey, guess what? I don't want you to draw this either. Doesn't this look ugly and complicated?
Yeah.
We don't have time to draw that. I'm going to show you an easy way to draw it. Polysaccharides. Duh. Lots of sugar units together. Lots of monomers built together using dehydration synthesis. The ones we usually talk about are starches and cellulose. Now, we will discuss glycogen, but that's later in the year. It's just a sugar molecule, okay? Which one of these is your body able to digest and break down for energy?
Starch.
Starches. You eat bread, don't you? You eat potatoes.
Yeah. No.
Potatoes are good.
French fries, right? I had to explain to somebody that French fries were potatoes one year.
What?
Hey guys, I said, you eat potatoes, right? They go, no. I said, do you eat French fries? Yeah. Hello. Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah, I noticed that because that's why we're laughing at you. Now, one person last period said, but wait. I also eat lettuce and corn. Okay, but they have a different type of this chain of sugars. Cellulose, we can't break down. Yes, I do eat lettuce, and yes, I eat corn, and actually there is some cellulose in potatoes. But this chain of sugars, we can't break down to get energy from. This chain of sugars, we can. And normally, like when I'm drawing it, I'm not drawing all these hexagons and all that. Oh, hold on, let's draw properly.
Those are amazing shapes.
I know, right? I'm an artist.
You mind?
So look, I have a chain of sugars. Yay me. Sometimes I get lazy. That works too. Because what shape did I tell you the monomer is? It's a ring shape. As long as you don't think that those are oxygens, we're good to go. It's a ring shape, okay? Now, this shape right here is cellulose. We're not able to break all these bonds to get your sugar energy. So, it's what we call roughage. You know that's when you eat celery, that stuff that gets stuck in your teeth? It travels through you and scrapes the lining of your intestines. They help you poop. I wouldn't go that far. I don't know of anybody that thinks poop is yum except for my dog sometimes.
Oh no.
It's not a very intelligent dog. All right. Lipids. What did we say the whole purpose of carbohydrate was?
Energy.
Very quick energy. I love those Snickers commercials. Here, eat a Snickers. Why? Well, because you're an idiot if you don't eat Snickers, right? You're a cranky idiot nobody wants to be around. But as soon as you eat a Snickers bar, wow, you're like, friendly and everything. It's great. Your brain uses 80% of the energy from your body. So if you don't have enough sugar in your body, no, don't eat lots of sugar. It's not good. Bad things happen. Right? This is my Mountain Dew belly right here. This is also my video game belly. I drink lots of Mountain Dew and play video games all the time. Little exercise. I'm trying to make my brain work a lot faster. Apparently it doesn't work. What would we use lipids for? You said they're fat. So what do we use fat for? Quit staring at my belly.
To hold something.
To hold something. Long-term energy. We're going to hold it for long-term energy. And there's other things we're going to use it for too. So let's look at, hello, stupid thing. Thank you. So, first off, they're not soluble in water. What in the world does this mean?
That means we can't dissolve.
Exactly. Think of it. Fat people float on water. I'm not joking. I float very well. You skinny people sink like rocks. Because you don't have enough fat to float. Also, oils are another example of a liquid. Lipid. When you put oil in water, what happens?
Separate.
Oil.
Yeah, the oil basically just sits there on the top or, forms little oil bubbles and stuff like that. It doesn't dissolve. It doesn't spread out. Now, if you want it to spread out, you have to put it in something that's hydrophobic.
Water.
Okay, so the hydro means water, yeah. Hydro means water.
Means afraid.
It does. There are things out there that are afraid of water. Basically, it means they don't like water. They're not scared of it. They're not running away screaming in terror. They just don't want to combine with water. They don't want to touch water. Lipids happen to be one of them. Okay? And you guys already told me it stores energy. Now these are all the, most of them. Hold on. There's one last one. Go away. That is not very fun with the mouse. Work. Thank you. Go that way. Thank you. These are the examples. Now, we don't talk about all of them. We talk about fats. We will definitely talk about phospholipids because this helps with your cell membrane. Actually, this is your cell membrane. You guys remember talking about the cell back in junior high?
Yeah.
We just call it the cell membrane. Sometimes we call it the phospholipid bilayer. I like big words. Think about it, you should like big words too, like dehydration synthesis. Go home tonight. When your parents ask you, hey, what did you learn in school? Well, I learned the process of dehydration synthesis.
Oh, no, like
Now you sound smart to your parents because your parents have no clue what you're talking about. Wow, that sounds great. Yeah, Mom, it just means we yank water out of stuff. Now they think that they're silly. You sound smart by using these big words. That's why science is awesome. You sound smart. You don't have to be smart. You just use big words like phospholipid bilayer. Okay, these ones are not really super cool. Oils and waxes. Earwax is a lipid. Yeah.
So if you put water in your ear, it'll like that?
Well, no, it doesn't. If you put water in your ear, you sound like you're underwater. But it won't clean out your ear because the wax doesn't like the water.
It'll
Yeah.
But
Hormones, certain types of hormones. When you see that hot person walk down the hall, you're like, oh yeah, there's a hormone coursing through your system all of a sudden. How many times has your dad scared the crap out of you because it was fun? I do that all the time. I love it. There's another type of hormone. Not all hormones are this, okay? But your steroid hormones are lipids, right? So look at all those bodybuilders with a tiny little head. They use steroids. And then we'll talk about triglycerides here in a second, okay? But these are all the functions of a lipid. Remember carbohydrates? They were so easy. Quick energy. Lipids are annoying little jerks because there's 6 things that they can do. And you should know them all. Easy one, energy storage. I technically shouldn't have to eat for at least a month or 2. I have lots of energy storage. I also don't get cold, except for the top of my head. Okay? My head doesn't have a lot of fat on it. Well, maybe the cheeks, that's about it. Think about this, protection against physical shock. You hit me in the belly, guess what happens? It just ripples outwards. I don't really feel it.
Beluga whales, they have little fat things out there.
Punch a beluga whale, guess what? They won't feel it. You might afterwards, but they won't. But we also have different... Where else would you need this absorption of shock?
in your
In your what? Where would you need to absorb shock? Okay, yeah, but my car doesn't have a whole bunch of lipids in it.
It stores in your stomach area where all the organs are.
Yeah, we talked about that just now.
legs, thighs.
Like maybe my
thighs,
knees.
Knees.
And maybe my backbone, because we have a lot of shock right there. All right, so part of your cartilage, which is nice. Protection against water loss. I told you the cell membrane is that phospholipid bilayer. It literally is a ring of fat. Your cell membrane is just a big fat bubble. But it keeps the water inside the cell. That way it doesn't dehydrate, which is great. Again, we just talked about hormones. Oh yeah. Last one, it's the cell membrane, the phospholipids. Duh. Okay. You got a little bit of time. Not much time. I got a little bit of time. Carbohydrates are so much easier. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like to draw a lipid. What was the shape of the carbohydrate?
Hexagon.
A hexagon. It could also be a pentagon, but basically is that ring shape. Okay. This, not so much. Please do not draw this down.
Holy crap.
We don't have time for you to write down every CH2, 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 CH, blah, 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 blah. So, there's a different way to do it. First off, let's discuss its monomers, because we never said anything about the monomers and polymers. Lipids have two monomers. The first monomer is the glycerol. That's a monomer. The other monomer is the fatty acid. It has two monomers. Together, we can build a lipid. Now this one happens to be known as the triglyceride. So the glyceride part is this glycerol right here. CHO, CHO, CHO. You see any nitrogens or anything like that? It's all CHOs, right? Now, why do we call it tri?
There's three fatty acids.
That's right, we have our three fatty acids. This is a fatty acid. This is a fatty acid. This is a fatty acid. We call them tails, fatty acid tails. Now, I told you I was going to show you an easier way to draw this. That way you don't have to write down all these CHOs, CHs, CHs. Watch this. Here's my triglyceride. Isn't that easier to write?
Yeah.
Now, what do all these little lines mean? Basically, it's like this. These tiny little lines mean that there's a carbon with hydrogen, carbon and hydrogens, carbon and hydrogens. I get bored easily. Maybe you could tell, I don't know. But sitting there and drawing all those lines going like this is annoying. Bam, look, so triglyceride. What's this section right here? The glycerol, exactly. And then I have my fatty acid legs, or fatty acid tails. What would a diglyceride look like?
Just two glycerides.
Yeah. It's a diglyceride. Monoglyceride. Now, we see lots of CHs, right?
Yeah.
So we still have CHO. We have lots of those. There is not really a ratio that we have. We just have to know that there are many and few. There's lots of CHs together. We only have a couple of oxygens. That's how you can differentiate. If you see a formula, you can kind of tell if it's carbohydrate or maybe a lipid. If you've got more CHs than you know what to do with, and only just a couple of oxygens, you have a lipid. Easy enough. I got one more slide and then we're done here. I am sorry about the glare on the screen. I can't use my funny little pen if I pull down the marker. And last time I marked on the screen with pen, I got yelled at. I don't want to do that anymore. Hey, would I want you to draw these?
No.
No, I want you to draw them. Do I want you to write them?
No.
No, because look. Look, I drew them. I didn't write them. We have two different types of fatty acids. We have the saturated, which is bad for you. You have your unsaturated, which is good. And what's the difference between the saturated and the unsaturated?
One's natural.
So we have an extra hydrogen on here. We take off the hydrogen right here, okay? And it's bent. By yanking off the hydrogen, it's bent now. Yay. So saturated fats are saturated with hydrogens, like he said on the video, like you just told me. The unsaturated fats, they have a less hydrogen, and then they have this like bent leg. Not to be confused with the stanky leg. Totally different. Okay? If you go home and look at your butter, if it says it has saturated fats in it, don't eat it. It's actually really bad for you. If it says you have unsaturated fats in it, still don't eat it. It's butter. But it's at least better for you. Actually, my wife has a friend that she likes to eat sticks of butter.
That's disgusting.
Oh, that's
disgusting.
nasty.
Yeah, we all think it's
Sticks of
disgusting too.
butter?
Yeah, she goes, kind of like every time we go to Samurai of Tokyo, that big bowling ball of butter they have. My wife's friend was like,
No.
I could just eat that. It's like, you can sit at a different table.
Cardiac arrest.
I don't know you.
Ugh.
All right. So unsaturated have this bend right here, and they're good for you. Saturated, more hydrogens, no bend, bad for you. Unsaturated, good. Saturated, bad. And then tomorrow.